on Facebook.
Hey everybody, good afternoon, good morning. We are live with Mr.
What's up, Facebook?
Welcome, Facebook Live. I love it. I'm so excited. This is a huge honor to be talking to Noah.
I'm happy to be here.
So, Noah, I met you while you were still a senior in high school. So,
Yep.
yeah, pretty exciting times, that's for sure. And I've had the great privilege of getting to know you and your beautiful family. Noah, tell everybody a little bit about your journey and the radically different path you've decided to take compared to most 19-year-olds.
Yeah, so my last I'd say 3 to 4 weeks after, the last 3 to 4 weeks of high school was actually when I enrolled into real estate school. And so everybody was like studying for exams, and I'm on the math section of the Louisiana real estate exam. But yeah, so I kind of decided, I'd say probably the summer between freshman and sophomore year, that really started to think if college was the right choice for me. My whole family has been in real estate. It's kind of all that I've ever been surrounded with. And so I was really like, this is what I want to do. I love sales. And so I was like, I guess I don't really need college. And then I started talking to a couple of my dad's friends and just other people who I really looked up to, and getting their opinion. And so yeah, it was that summer in between freshman and sophomore year that I was kind of like, maybe this isn't really for me. So I looked at it as I'd rather spend those 4 years that someone would spend in college and really just mastering the craft of real estate, instead of taking some real estate classes in college and only focusing on them the last year or two. So that's kind of how I looked at it, and have got my license the morning I graduated, and have just been working and loving it ever since.
And tell everybody a little bit about the fast success that you've had. And so you've been a licensed realtor now for what, 2.5 months? Is that right?
End of May, so June, July, August, September. Yeah, about 3 months.
3 months, yeah. So tell everybody a little bit about what's happened in the past 3 months for you.
Yeah, so the first few were actually kind of slow, and I would literally start. I would just do these different things, and at some points I would literally call my dad, and I'm like, "What am I supposed to be doing right now? Like, I don't know what to do." And he would always tell me, he's like, it's the same thing that you did yesterday. And so these past month and a half, I've really kind of started to see things come around. I have 2 closings for this month, 1 scheduled for next month. I have 5 active listings. One of them's a co-list, so four of my own.
Wow.
And I'm working with 2 buyers right now that are investors, and we have those 2 of the closings this month are with that investor. And so I'll relist those once he flips them. So just a lot of awesome things happening in a short period of time.
You're not kidding. You got a super fast start. Yeah. So those 2, if you don't mind me getting a little personal,
Yeah.
the 2 listings that you have that are the 2 sales that you have coming up.
Uh-huh.
And, when will those 2 close? Will they close this month in September?
Yep. So one's closing on the 14th, and then the other is closing on the 27th.
Okay. So if I can get a little personal, if both of those deals come through, what is the net to you going to be on those 2 sales?
It'll be about $7,000 there. So I mean, that's not bad.
You think?
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. Especially someone just coming out of high school, that's a big deal.
So $7,000. So let's times that by 12. A little over $80,000 as a 19-year-old kid. I mean, other than kids selling drugs out of the people at your age making that kind of money.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, those numbers are absolutely, positively staggering. And you think about your typical person going to school after a 4-year degree, how many of them would make 80 grand, right out of college even? I mean, that's a spectacular salary for a 35-year-old person, correct?
Yeah.
I love it. And a whole lot less overhead. So did you get any pushback from your family or friends when you made the decision to, and of course the world is your oyster. You can go back to school anytime you want, but to not immediately take that leap into college, did you get any negative feedback about that decision?
Yeah, I did. And, it was really, you're just, telling me that I need to go or just go for the experience. And like, what is that experience? I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go out and party every night if that's the college experience. I would rather, be working transactions, writing contracts. But yeah, I did get a lot of negative feedback from family and friends. Just like, what if that doesn't work? Or, if you want to be successful, you need to go to college, or just you need to go to college to get a degree. And then there were several people who told me that I needed to go, and they had degrees, but then you look at what workforce or field they're in and how that relates to their degree, and it doesn't. So, it doesn't really make sense to me. So just after looking at the big picture, it's just kind of like, man, like, it's hard to say that you're not going to listen to them, but that's kind of what I had to do, just do my own thing, and do what I felt was best for me and would be the best for me in the long run. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's the great thing about what you're doing. It's not either or. You 3 or 4 years and then back to go to school. And of course, way before your time, back in the 80s, there was the movie with Rodney Dangerfield called Back to School. And it's absolutely hysterical. And the storyline is, this guy was grew up real poor and went to college, didn't go to college, couldn't afford to go to college, but made millions and millions and millions of dollars. And then when his son started college, he decided, you know what, I want to go to college too. So he attended college.
Maybe that's what'll happen.
And that sounds like a pretty good deal, right?
Yeah.
So that's the cool thing, is that it's never either or. Scott and I had the great opportunity to go to Gary Vee's Agent 2021 back in January, and I paid extra True to Tracy form to see the live taping, and he did the live taping with Ryan Serhant.
Oh, that's my man. I love Ryan.
How do you say his last name?
Serhant.
Serhant, yeah.
Yep.
So they did a filming of the Gary Vee show live, and one of the ladies stood up and said, "Okay, I've got a question. My son and I are having an argument about whether or not he should go to college."
Yeah.
And Gary said, "So that's your son?" And she said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I pulled him out of school for this event. Good for you, He said, "Yeah, I called him in sick." And he said, "Well, do you want him to go to college?" And she said, "Yeah, I feel like it's important for the experience, if nothing else." And then he turned and he said, "Well, are you going to pay for him to go to college?" And she says, "Yeah, I'll pay for him." So he turns to the son and he says, "Well, if you want to have a 4-year vacation, go ahead and go. If you want to build your future and build financial wealth, then it's probably not a good idea. You'd be better to spend those 4 years while your mom's still willing to pay some of your bills, get an internship in the field that you are passionate about." And it sounds like that's exactly what you've been doing here. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things my dad said is, he told me how they talked about it, and really the way they looked at it is, if I know that this is what I want to do, why would they pay $100,000 for me to go become a real estate agent? It's a lot cheaper to go through real estate school and just do it. So I think just knowing that this is what I wanted to do, I think it would have been different for someone who wants to go and be a doctor or a lawyer, where you need that education by any means, you have to go. But for someone who doesn't necessarily need it, to be a real estate agent, you need a high school diploma and to be 18 years old. So, I had everything that I needed. And, just knowing what you needed to do, I think that was the biggest thing for me.
And that's very powerful. And you use the example of the doctor or the lawyer. So, you go to do your undergraduate degree and then you go get a 3-year law degree, only to be saddled with another 15 to 20 years of working every hour of the day.
Yeah.
And to, yeah, attorneys can make great money. Some of them do. Not a lot of them make $1 million a year. Very, very. And whenever in order for them to make money, they have to actually show up and do the work.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of opportunities to leverage real estate. So I'm curious, have you started looking at buying any investment properties in your own name? Have you looked into any of that?
Yeah, I need some more of those 2 closings a month to happen, but I definitely have. Yeah, I'd like to start doing at least 1 property a year that I could flip, and then another property a year that I would keep and hold as a rental, just to kind of build up that portfolio. But yeah, I definitely have started to think about that.
And as an investment strategy, Noah, that's really brilliant. If you keep 1 property a year and you continue that, throughout your life, your business career, and once you make a little bit more money, instead of buying a house, you're buying a duplex and then a fourplex, and then of course Grant Cardone talks about having 15 doors. If you can buy a multifamily with 15 doors, that's really where you want to be. So if you picked up 1 or 2 of those properties a year, by the time you're 60, those properties, of course, every year you've got another one that's paid in full. And it gives you a retirement and exit strategy that really hasn't cost you any money out of your pocket, here and there, maybe grand. But that's an absolutely brilliant strategy. I teach that. I think that's something that really every real estate agent should be doing in their career. You get rich by selling real estate, but wealthy by, of course, investing in real estate,
Yeah, definitely.
And as real estate agents, we get lots of insider information, and we don't go to prison for using it. That's the best part.
Yeah, you definitely have some helpful tools.
So, of course, we're both with eXp Realty, which is, in my humble opinion, the most brilliant business model in the world. Talk to everybody a little bit about the revenue share component with eXp and how you're already taking advantage of that.
Yeah. So the way I looked at it was just seeing the phenomenal opportunity to expand your business into different markets. You're not always gonna, your market here is not always going to be great, but if you have agents that are working with you in other parts of the country, then you're always gonna have that to fall back on. For instance, we had the great flood of 2016 is what they called it, because we had never seen anything like it here. It was all over the news, but that definitely put a hold on real estate agents' business. But if you have agents with you that are in Wisconsin or New York, just other states, then you're okay. You don't have to worry if you can, pay the bills that month. I don't have any bills, but for another agent who does, that's a great way to look at it. And I know there's people who make crazy amounts through revenue share, but for someone who makes just a couple $1,000s, that's enough to cover their house note and their car payment and insurance. Just being able to be around you guys and other people that, like I said, people who make a lot of money and people who just make a couple $1,000s is really eye-opening, just to see how many lives you can really change through this company. So I think that's the best part of revenue share, is just the opportunity.
And you've been with eXp now for a little over 3 months. How many agents have you personally introduced to the company that are already on board, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I have 2 on board right now, and I have 3 that are actually getting their ICAs today. So they're in the onboarding process. So just love sharing the amazing opportunity with people.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, I was just.
You first. Be quiet.
Okay. So what I was going to say was I was talking with this guy yesterday, and he was just telling me how he was really, how he's happy where he was at, and how he wasn't looking for anything right now. And I was like, well, yeah, that's okay. And I just asked him, I was like, well, how much do you know about the actual business model itself? And he was like, I don't know a lot about the business model. And then he said a couple of other things, and he was like, but I mean, I don't really care about the business model. I was like, well, how do you know you don't care if you don't know the business model? So I think it's crazy just the amount of people who don't even take the time to be open minded enough just to hear about it. That really blows my mind. I was talking to a guy the other day, actually last night, and I'm meeting with him later today. Um, and he told me how he didn't like that we had a $20,000 cap. I was like, well, what's funny is we don't have a $20,000 cap. So let's meet and let me give you the right information. So I think if people would just be open-minded enough just to hear, it could truly change way more lives than it already has.
Yeah, that's very true, and it's fascinating to me. It's one thing to be happy where you're at right now, but the question that I think a lot of agents don't think about is, well, what happens on that day when you can't get up and grind, when you can't get up and work, or when your city gets flooded and suddenly nobody can sell real estate? I mean, it's really not about being happy. It's about being financially responsible to yourself and to your family. That's what I think people miss,
Yeah, I definitely agree.
It's a totally different business model. So let's look at the numbers. So you've been with the company again for about 3 months or so. You've got 2 on board with 3 more coming on board. Think about your numbers. If you just added 1 new agent to your revenue share organization a month for the next 10 years, and you kept up with the attrition, my gosh, I mean, a decade from now, you'll have your own island of Fiji,
Yeah.
Speaking of islands in Fiji, of course, the greatest mentor of my life has been Tony Robbins. And have you read his book, Awaken the Giant Within?
I have not, no.
Okay. When we're done, text me over your address and I'll send you a copy of it.
Yeah.
It was the most important book in my life. When I first read it, I was a 28-year-old school teacher, and my student loans were $21,000, okay? And I was making $24,000 a year. So do the math on the payoff on that.
Yeah.
Go get a degree where I was making less than what my student loans payments were going to be. But anyway, I read that book, and I sat there in the Barnes and Noble, and I cried and cried and cried. And the book was $14, and I had $21 till payday, But I bought the book, and it radically transformed every cell in my body. But of course, Tony Robbins didn't go to college either. And at 19, he was working as a janitor. So you're a little ahead of where he was.
Yeah.
But he turned that around pretty quickly, and in his very early 20s, the challenge was most of the people his age were either still in college or they were still in those beginning stages in their careers, and he was making lots of money. And the challenge to find a peer group is what he really struggled with. So of course, what he began to do is to tap into his mentors' peer groups, and started hanging out with the 40-year-olds, and married a woman that was 6 or 7 years older than him, who, by the way, had gone to Harvard and got a degree, which was very beneficial in building his company.
Yeah.
I was a Harvard business grad. Things go both. So it's interesting. With your peer group, are you finding that your peer group is a little different than those kids your age?
I don't really know how to answer that. I still hang out with a lot of people who I graduated with.
Sure.
But at the same time, I've connected with a couple people. Really, I've connected with people just sitting in Starbucks and have built great relationships. And now I have a buddy of mine. His name's Chris Menard. He's the lead sales manager for the whole south of Colonial Life. And we really just started talking in Starbucks, and now we go grab lunch once or twice a month. So I guess it has definitely changed. I'm going to different networking events and just trying to be around as many business-minded and high-minded people as I can. And a lot of my friends don't think that way, so I'm definitely trying to find those groups to put myself in.
No, I'm getting a message from Fish that you've gotten disconnected. So let's just make sure that we're still up and running here, okay?
Okay.
Is it back on? Let me text it to you. Look. I'm going to keep talking, and we'll
Yeah.
just come there.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up on my phone and see.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing, but it looks to me like we're live. So
Really? Yeah, I see it on my Facebook.
Okay, well, we'll keep going then. We won't worry about it. Okay, so we were talking about peer group. You know, I know already that even though you're not going to college, you're making a significant financial investment in your. Oh, okay, Jonathan Dupree says, yeah, that we're live. And
Okay.
You can tell. So I know that even though you're not going to college, you're probably spending about the equivalent of a college degree on your real estate education. Tell everybody a little bit about the events that you've attended already and about the what you've learned and how that's impacted your business.
Yeah. So I'd say the week I graduated, so the first week I had my license, I was scrolling through Facebook. And everybody knows how Facebook ads get. And something pops up and you have to click on it. And it was a link for Tom Ferry's Success Summit. And I just kind of started scrolling through, and it was one of the deals where it was before like the early bird tickets. And so we were actually just in the swimming pool, and I asked my dad, I was like, hey, if I buy this ticket, like, would you get one too and go with me to Tom Ferry? He's like, yeah, sure. And so we literally both bought our tickets that day and booked our flights and everything. So that was the first event, real estate related, that big that I had really been to. I think they had about 5,500 real estate agents there.
5,500 real estate agents?
Yeah, 5,500.
Oh my gosh.
And it was insane. But it was so powerful just to see everybody connected. It was cool because it didn't really matter what company you were with. You could talk to anybody about anything.
That's awesome.
That really lit a fire under me, just knowing one of the stats that he shared was that there are 1.3 million real estate agents according to the NAR, and only 43,000 of them will sell 25 or more homes this year.
Oh my gosh, those are devastating numbers. That's
terrible. It really just showed me that people talk about all this competition that they have, but there's really not any. There's just a lot of people who have a license. Not a lot of them actually work. But that was a really powerful event, just to be able to pick up certain tips and stuff and meet other agents that were my age, not 19, but younger, in their early 20s. So that was really powerful. And then hanging out with you guys in Arizona, that was awesome. Just getting to hear everybody's story, like I said, the people who make a lot and people who are making their house payment. That's what opened my eyes for EXP. Really, that showed me the big picture. So I think if everyone took the time to attend events like those, you would see that 43,000 number really increase. I think just being surrounded with other agents that don't really care what company you're with too, like the Tom Ferry event, I think that's important too. But definitely I feel like the events that I've attended have really helped me increase my business.
Absolutely. And I just think that's such a powerful thing. I spend a tremendous amount of money on education too. And to me, that's the safest money you can have, that you can possibly spend. I mean, no matter what goes on in your life, they can't take away, what you've
the knowledge. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I told. Yeah. Well, that's what I told my parents. I was like, I'd much rather spend this money that I'd spent on college and invested into going to conferences like Tony Robbins.
Right.
I know we're going in November with you guys. That's going to be fun. I'm excited. I've been wanting to go. I've watched his documentary on Netflix about 5 different times. I'm Not Your Guru.
Wow, it's incredible, isn't
it? It is.
Yeah.
That's a fun one to watch at 1 o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep. That's my go-to. But
since Al Gore invented the internet, you can go on YouTube and see hundreds and hundreds of hours of Tony Robbins stuff, which is
Yeah.
just, it's a great gateway drug. I feel like anybody that sees that movie or watches them on YouTube will eventually find their way to one of his live events. It's too compelling not to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very exciting times. Well, so what do you see next for you? Where in a perfect world, where would you like your real estate career to be 5 years from now? Have you got all that mapped out just yet?
I've really been focusing on the next 12 months, what I really want to accomplish. I haven't looked that far. I haven't really made my 5-year plan yet. But I'd say in the next 12 months, I would like to grow my organization to at least 25 agents working with me. Just sharing what we're doing here. It's amazing things happening. And then, my first full year, I'd like to do 5 million in volume. I think that's a good number for me, and I think I can hit it. Like I said, as for 5 years, I haven't really planned out that far, which it doesn't sound too good, but I need to. But yeah, that's my goals for the next 12 months.
Well, that's a very powerful goal. I mean, that alone will give you a running track to where whatever you want to do after that 12 months period, at least you'll have some money and income coming in and some financial freedom. And how many 20-year-olds have that luxury unless you're a trust fund baby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very exciting times. Well, I feel like what you're doing and the message that you have is so important. I think it's been my experience that most people go to college just because they don't really have any other ideas or any other plans, and certainly not any other guidance. It seems like that's the only suggestion that parents have for their kids. What would you say to somebody that's 14, 15, 16 years old and trying to decide if college is the right path for them? What advice would you give them?
From me, if there's something that they know for sure that's what they want to do, you can always go back. There's nothing stopping you from going back. So I think for someone who knows what they want to do, they should find somebody who's doing that and just kind of latch on and just do what they're doing. Figure out what they need to do to be successful in that field, and really just run with it. But for someone who doesn't know, and they may be kind of juggling a few different things, maybe they should go to college and really take that time to test different things out and see what they want to do, or maybe do some internships like you talked about, and just focus on working and figuring out what you really love doing. But I think if you figure out why you want to do it, I think that's the easiest way to figure out what your goal is, like what you need to do. I struggled for a long time figuring out what my why was. I posted on Facebook a couple months ago just trying to figure out what other people's why was, and just to see. A lot of people said their kids and their family. I'm 19. I thankfully do not have any kids or a family. But watching the event in San Antonio, Scott said something that really made me think, and he said that he wanted to be able to go wherever he wanted, whenever he wanted, with whoever he wanted, for however long he wanted. And that's true freedom, and that's what really made me think. I was like, that's what I want, and so I think for me, once I figured that out, that's what really got my gears turning. It's like, you gotta start hustling. But if you know what you want to do, I think you should just do it. Don't really worry about what other people think. If you're heading to college, you're pretty much an adult. Like, you're a big boy or girl, do what you need to do for you. That's how I look at it.
Man, that is spectacular advice, and that's extremely powerful and very in line with classic books like Think and Grow Rich and the audio recording The Strangest Secret. I mean, it's very much once you understand your why, it makes the path a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
And, to be in your position. Well, anybody that's young, what you talked about, the internship. One of my good friends says that when you graduate from college, if you can't show that you've actually been working in the field is opportunities for a decent job are just they're pathetic. Everybody wants somebody that's at least run that in that world, in that industry. And I think a lot of people go through school and they've never really experienced the lifestyle of what it is they want to do. So if you're thinking about law school, oh my gosh, when you're 16 years old, go shadow a typical attorney and decide, do you really want that lifestyle? Do you really want that to be in that kind of an energy? Especially people that go to medical school. Oh my gosh, it takes 4-year degree plus another 8 years, and you graduate and you've got over $100,000 worth of debt. And what is your reward? Well, you get to work 80 hours a week for the next 7 or 8 or 10 years. While you're paying off student loans and graveyard shifts, and do you really want that lifestyle? I think a lot of people look at the profession and they don't look at the lifestyle that goes along with it. Real estate is one of very few professions that I know of where you can actually get time and money freedom. A doctor can be making $250,000 a year, but if he has to leave his house every morning at 7 a.m. and gets home at 6 p.m., is that how you want to live your life?
Is it worth it? Is it worth it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm so excited, Noah. You've got such a huge future, and I'm so honored to know you at this stage in your life. So, a decade from now, I can say, oh, I knew Noah when he was just starting in real estate. I know that you've been an inspiration not only to a lot of young people your age, but man, it's humbling to see somebody come into this business and have such a fast start and a fast success story. And I think that your story should be shared with every person that's considering getting a real estate license, that, you can come in and you can do the right things and of course, make the right sacrifices and be making great money. 3 or 4 months in. It's an exciting time to be.
It is. I'm loving it.
Yeah. And so you're headed to see Tony Robbins in November. Very exciting. Are you going to be at EXPCon as well?
I will.
Yeah, that's right. It's an easy trip for you.
I know.
Well, Noah, it's such an honor to have had this opportunity to talk with you. And if you're interested in learning more about eXp Realty, definitely reach out to Noah. He can tell you his great success story. And I know that, you're because of the great family that you've had the opportunity to see a lot of different real estate models. And when you really look under the hood of eXp, it seems to make more financial sense than any other model out there. Don't you agree?
I do. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And man, the stock portfolio that you're going to acquire, for what your typical real estate agent is paying in franchise fees, you are literally paying yourself first. Yeah. And I just can't wait to see what that money is going to provide for you, a decade from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. I mean, the level of financial freedom that you're going to be able to obtain as a very young man, it's an exciting life you got ahead of you, Noah, that's for sure.
It is very exciting.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks at eXpCon, and thank you so much for being my special guest on Facebook Live today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks so much. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.